It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. And guys, with that, we want to welcome you to the pre-show of the Stingray Show. We have not done this in quite a while, simply because we've had guests and we've been doing a lot of in-depth analysis of basketball and, of course, SEC baseball. And SEC baseball in conference play begins this evening with some major matchups. And also, we've got going on the SEC basketball tournament up there in Nashville. Heath, how are you doing this morning? And can you believe it? One of the worst teams in the conference, not the one that spent the most money, but Ole Miss is still dancing in 2 days after the start of the tournament today. Ole Miss will take on Alabama tonight.
Well, I said it on the show yesterday that Chris Beard builds his teams for tournaments. And I also said that teams that play on day one have advantage of a team that hasn't played yet and have a slight advantage against the teams that start playing on day two.
Right.
Sometimes that advantage is the first couple of minutes of a game. Sometimes it's for a half. Sometimes it's 3/4 of the game. Sometimes it's the entire game. But usually it's just the first few minutes of the game or the first half. Yes. Ole Miss, that's all they needed. That's all they needed to advance. Again, Chris Beard, there's lots of rumors out there. I'm not going to get into the rumor mill, but a rumor that Kansas State and him are flirting with each other. Yeah. I don't know if Chris Beard's flirting with Kansas State or Kansas State's flirting with Chris Beard. Have no idea. Don't care to follow it.
Right.
But I do know Chris Beard is trying to win games. I do know his teams are built for tournament play. I do know that they had the advantage of playing on day one. So, yeah, Ole Miss might be the sweetheart of this year's Southeastern tournament.
You never know, man. It's going to be interesting. And also, you always talk about this time of the year, your life makes sense. It is the opening day of SEC conference play in baseball, as we've already been playing about a month now, and now we step into SEC play.
Yeah, really looking forward to SEC play. Some fun games, some fun series this weekend. Looking forward to that.
Mississippi State, Arkansas.
That's the headliner. That's the headliner. Top 5 matchup. Number 3, Mississippi State, going to take on number 5, Arkansas, there at Baum Stadium. So, looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Mississippi State, under Chris Lemonis, did not fare well against Arkansas.
No.
Didn't fare well. They swept one series, I think, or took one series. I can't remember which. But Chris Lemonis was there for how many years?
A while.
Yeah. And I think they only took one series. So that says everything.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see how this comes about. You know, we got a great interview with Aaron Fitt. Can't wait to see his take on Mississippi State's pitching. A lot of people are claiming, that Mississippi State has 3 first-round draft picks Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. They have 3 first-round draft picks That's unheard of, Stephen. That is completely unheard of.
Well, Vanderbilt about 6 years ago had two,
Yeah, and it was
lighter
awesome.
and lighter, and then Kumar Rocker.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I will say this: I went to a game, watch Vanderbilt play, and it was funny seeing Kumar's dad because he was SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was awesome back in the day. And
Yeah,
then you turn around and you see the lighters, and I was like, "Oh, I used to watch you on TV. I had your baseball cards." So yeah, they're just sitting there chatting with each other, and I was like, oh, "Small world." The rockers and the lighters,
yeah,
all here in the same universe together. So, but no, it's anytime. I mean, look at LSU a couple of years ago when they had Paul Skeens. When you got one first round pitcher in your rotation, that really helps you. That sets you up tremendously, just tremendously. That sets you up in a
yeah.
great situation. When you have two, like that's extremely, extremely rare.
Yes.
I have never heard of three, never. And that's what we're looking at right now with Mississippi State. 3 first round draft picks, all pitching on the weekend. Friday
Yes.
night starter, Saturday starter, Sunday starter. Wow. And on top of that, Steven, you got a left-hander named Jack Bauer that throws over 103 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he ain't even touching the field. But this is insane.
All right. Today is March the 13th, Friday the 13th.
Is
How
it really?
about
Yeah, it
that?
is. Yeah,
How about that?
that slipped up on me today.
Yep. All right. So today in the National Day of Today, you can take this and shove it because I've never heard of this and I do not like this. It is National Coconut Torte Day. Now, if you're wondering what that is, it is a rich dessert featuring the decadent flavor of coconut and decorated with it too. And to me, it does look like a coconut cake.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's called National Coconut Torte Day. And you can take that and shove it because I do not like coconut.
Stingray dropping Johnny Paycheck lines. Take
Yep,
this job and shove it. I'm sure a lot of people like to say that here on payday, here on
yep.
Friday.
All
I'll get
right.
to payday for everybody out there.
Yeah. It is also, Heath, National Good Samaritan's Day, where we recognize the unselfish action of those who provide help when needed.
You know, I think people forget that the term Good Samaritan comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful story there, and it was the unlikely person to help. Be that unlikely person, even if you think you're a bad guy, you don't have your life together, you don't have enough money, you're too poor, you're not a good person, whatever. You can always help somebody.
Yes.
I heard a guy say this years ago, and I try to live this daily, Stephen. Try to make one person's day. And
Mhm.
if you can, make it a kid.
Yeah.
Try to make a kid's day doing something. And I try to do that, not necessarily inside the walls of my house with my own kids, although I do, but try to make a kid smile. Do something for a kid. Whether you're at the grocery store, the convenience store, or something, and you're at checkout and you see a little kid behind you, tell him to pick out a candy bar. Tell him to pick out some gum. Buy it, hand it to him if it's okay with mom. But just do something small. That candy bar ain't going to cost you nothing.
Hmm.
And the kid will remember that maybe for a week, but
Yes.
he'll go home smiling and he'll be happy the rest of the day.
Yep. All right. Now, Heath, don't ask me why, but we have this today, and I think this is one of the more stupid of the national days. Today, you definitely need it this morning up there around the Memphis area and here as well. Today is National Earmuff Day. What are we doing?
Dude,
I
I looked up,
I can understand the food days, but earmuff day? Come on now, man.
and why is it during spring break?
I'm just like, come on, dude.
I'll say this: I was looking at Facebook memories. I guess that was I don't know if that was last night or the night before. Probably the night before because I didn't get in until 10 o'clock last night.
Right.
Um, but I and I went to bed as soon as I got in. I take that back. I watched a little TV, then I went to bed about an hour later. Um, but I saw on my Facebook memories. I want to say it was either 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Let me rephrase that: 3 years ago or 4 years ago. It was snowing during spring break.
Mm-hmm.
We had snow. I can't remember if it was 2022 or 2023, but I was like, wow, I've already forgotten that we had snow during spring break. And I went back through my memories a little bit more because I was working on a rental property, getting it ready to get somebody in. And oh gosh, this was probably 8, 10, 11 years ago, whatever it was. It snowed during spring break.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I don't remember all the snow during spring break. I don't remember that as a kid at all. So, hey, and to all the college students, I know we air on the network, Ole Miss 365, and we're getting ready to air on other networks here shortly.
Yep.
But hey, to the young moms out there and to the college students that are watching, take that jacket with you after spring break back to school. Mom,
Yes.
don't pack up the kids' stuff. We always have that one cold weekend in April.
Yep.
Always, always,
Yep.
always. For some random reason, we spend the whole weekend in the 40s.
Yes.
So don't, because I always hate hearing moms at church or the ball field or wherever like, I done packed up all their winter clothes and I didn't expect this and that. I'm like, everybody knows you got one cold weekend in April.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right, Heath, briefly, do you want to go over the 3 major movies that were released on March the 13th before we dive into the show?
Let's do it, man.
We will begin with the latest and come forward. We are going to start in 1956. It was a John Wayne Western masterpiece, The Searchers.
Wow. I am sure I have seen it. I do not recall it,
Right.
but I'm sure my father loved him some John Wayne,
All
and he
right.
always watched those movies.
What is your favorite John Wayne movie?
McClintock was a good one. There was one, and I will have to Google it. He dies in this movie. John Wayne actually died in several of his movies, but
Right.
he was like this not a scuba diver. Well, I don't know what do you call it when you're in the huge suit, the big heavy suit. It's got the mask on the front,
Scuba
the big
diving?
mask, the helmet, and the big mask.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
I know what you're talking about.
he was a diver in that, and his cord gets cut, and he's at the bottom of the ocean, and his
Right.
suit fills up with water. He doesn't make it.
Right.
Cough. Don't know where that came from. I remember really enjoying that, but McClintock was good.
Yeah.
Just because he had that cool eye patch. That was fun. And I think he says in the movie, he's like, you can't do that, we need to rest up. He goes, I'll get enough rest when I'm dead.
Right.
What a great line. But yeah.
My favorite John Wayne movie, without a doubt, North to Alaska.
That was a good one. That
Yeah.
was a good one.
And the song is even better.
Didn't it? What movie did Tom Cruise redo where he plays an Irish boxer?
I have no idea.
It was one of John Wayne's movie.
Right.
Oh man, he did it with Nicole Kidman. They were married, I think, or they were dating at the time, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that was originally a John Wayne movie. But yeah, fun stuff, man.
All right. The second one I want to talk about is 1992. And if there is ever a movie that is on, these are the ones that I have to watch, I have to tune into. One of them is Twister. The other one is A Few Good Men, especially if it's at the court saying you can't handle the truth. And Heath, number 3, I am going to give this to you, and hopefully you've seen this, and I'm going to quote one of the best lines from that movie. What is a grit? You eat it first. No, you eat it first. No, you eat it first. Joe Pesci in the lawyer movie My Cousin Vinny was released on this day in 1992.
I remember, Steven, I still have not seen that movie all the way through. I was thrown off as a kid that Herman Munster was the judge.
Yes.
That threw me off. And I was like, why is Herman Munster in this?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but Marissa Tomei, I believe we got introduced to
Yep.
Marissa Tomei during that movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was her first movie, but I think that was kind of her kind of breakout role
Right.
that everyone kind of knew who she was after that. But yeah, you mentioned A Few Good Men. All right, Stephen, I'm going to take the show PG-13 here for a second because I don't know what it is about Few Good Men. Like, I really like that movie. I don't love that movie, but I really like. But that's the one movie. If I'm changing channels and I find it, I can't stop watching it
Right.
every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time, the entire movie. Doesn't matter where it is in the movie. I'll stop it
Right.
and I'll watch it. But I remember years ago, oh gosh, this has been over a decade ago. And this is where it's going to get PG-13. I was waiting for that great line where Jack Nicholson sits there and he goes, I want you to salute me with that Harvard mouth and that faggoty white uniform and salute me.
Yes.
He takes that cigar out, in that great scene. And Tom Cruise is like, what? He goes, you heard me. And so, anyway, we had been on a trip. I can't remember if we took the kids on spring break or something.
Right.
But we got back super late. And I had gotten like coffee or so. I got something to keep me awake for like the last hour of the trip, last 90 minutes of the trip, whatever it was. And so we get back to the house and unload the car. And now I got energy. I'm not ready to go to bed. Although I was falling asleep 90 minutes before driving. Right. So I stay up to watch that one scene. And because I flipped the channels and I see it, and I started getting tired. I was like, you know what?
It's coming.
I'm gonna wait and watch that scene where I can laugh, and then I'll turn around and go to bed. And so I wait for it, and I wait for it, and I wait for it, and then stinking TBS, AMC. I don't remember what it was on.
They took it off.
They took it out.
Yes.
I forgot the word they substituted it in, which TBS always had the worst substitutions.
Right.
Like I'll never forget. We used to make this joke in college in the movie White Men Can't Jump. Rosie in the movie says, I don't like the word screw. I like the word make love, and then she drops a bad word.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I remember the subtitle or the dub over, the audio dub over is like, so Billy, I don't like that word. I like the word make love or make love. Like it was like some dude that said it. We were like, what? So yeah, I'm sitting there watching A Few Good Men. He's like, I want you to stand there and salute me with that Harvard mouth and that funny white uniform. I'm like, what? Like, it's not funny. I was like, I stayed up an extra 40 minutes for this. Yeah. And so I went to bed mad.
Yeah.
It's fuming.
All right, Heath, it is also, we have one more in 2009. It was the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sci-fi movie Race to Witch Mountain.
I remember the original. Original Race to Witch Mountain. And I can't remember too much about it. I think it had to do with like UFOs or magic or something. I can't remember. I didn't watch the remake. I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching that as a kid. I love that as a kid. I don't remember one thing about it.
Those were the three movies that were released today. Okay, backstage, we have our first guest of the morning. So let's go ahead and start the nuts and bolts of the Stingray Show right now, talking about all of the action in the SEC basketball tournament, okay?
Let's do it.
For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. As we enter day number 3 of the SEC basketball tournament in Nashville, we have the top 4 seeds making their debut today, and that includes Florida, Vanderbilt, Alabama, and then Arkansas this evening. And still dancing from the first day include Kentucky and, oddly enough, Chris Beard and Ole Miss. Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 is on deck to join us to talk about hoops in the SEC for today and this weekend. And then we are going to be joined by Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball to go over the SEC weekend on the diamond. That is all ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get the Stingray Show rocking and rolling.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you back inside the Stingray Show. We just finished up the pre-show in Heath. Now, let's go ahead and bring on our very special guest who is covering the SEC basketball tournament there in Nashville, who is really close to his home up there. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Lee of Southeastern 16. Chris, how are things with you this morning as we move to day 3 of the tournament? Hey, Chris, we can't hear you, buddy. Are you muted?
I haven't. Oh, I'm just now hearing you guys. I'm sorry.
Chris, go on and refresh.
Okay.
And then we'll bring you back here in a second.
Okay. Still can't hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but you're kind of delayed a little bit, I would think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe you're not delayed anymore. Hey, Chris. Hey.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. You're not delayed anymore. Good.
Okay. Yeah.
I almost want to say count after me, but I didn't do that.
Right. So, Chris, how's it been up there covering the SEC basketball tournament?
It's been fun. I don't think there's as many people in the building as there were a year ago, but it's been a lot of fun. We've seen Ole Miss and Oklahoma have great tournaments so far. Not something I necessarily expected, particularly from Ole Miss, which is going to have to win 3 more. I thought Ole Miss was a team that had very little to play for in this spot, and those are the teams that you don't see a lot of times show up. Maybe if it's a win 3 in 3 days, you do, but the thought of having to win 5 in 5, sometimes teams kind of no-show for the first part of the tournament. Ole Miss did not. I think, the Auburn-Tennessee game, the way Auburn defended or the way Tennessee defended Auburn in the last few minutes, I've rarely seen 8 minutes of defense better than what Tennessee played. Kentucky and Missouri was fascinating yesterday. It's been a good tournament so far.
So, Chris, go ahead, Hayes.
I was about to say, Chris is wearing the white shirt. I'm wearing the black shirt. I guess he's the good guy in the back. Hey, do I look like a priest, you two? I kind of feel like a priest with my white undershirt.
Need a little collar there. I don't know if that's got a, you can pop that up a little bit, but it might do it for you.
Father Carmon is always one of my favorite characters in the Rocky movie, but we'll save that for another show.
Yeah.
Chris, get to the basketball tournament. Me and Steven have talked about this all week. Teams that play on day one have an advantage over teams that play in day two. It takes a while to adjust shooting in a big arena.
Yeah.
And we see this happen year after year all the time. And it's even worse in domes. But it takes a while for people to adjust with that. Teams that don't wait, they don't play on day three. Teams on day two, if they happen to win, they have the advantage over teams on day three. Now, that advantage is sometimes just a couple of minutes to the first media timeout. Sometimes it's the first half. Sometimes it's the entire game. But yesterday we saw Ole Miss. They use it to their advantage. They got the win. So with that being said, who do you think could be on upset alert today since they're playing on day one of the tournament and they may not necessarily need a win? That teams that have played on day two or day 1 and 2 have the advantage.
Yeah, this tournament's shown it could be anybody. Ole Miss is really defending well right now. Malik Diaz is a guy that can carry a team for a day or two. Alabama's defense has been a little uneven. Right. At the same time, the second half of 3 in 3 days, a lot of times is when you see legs start to go. And I don't know if Ole Miss can keep up with Alabama's offensive firepower. I think that, so I think that one's hard to see, but could it happen? Sure. I didn't think Ole Miss would be, I didn't think Ole Miss would even get by Texas, but it did. And here they are. Oklahoma's looked great for 2 days, maybe played as well as anybody in the tournament. Now, some of that's got to be scaled to who they play, of course. I don't think South Carolina is very good, and A&M is not, it's a good team. It's a tournament team. Is it super athletic and talented? No, it's not. They're going to face a much different animal in Arkansas today. But, Arkansas has not always been consistent, and Oklahoma, ever since snapping that 9-game losing streak in Nashville, which I saw in person, has played pretty well. I think that says a lot about Porter Moser and the buy-in he's gotten. You've got Nigel Pack, who's been to a Final Four. So, again, do I think it's unlikely? Yeah. Do I think it's possible? Yes, also. Vandy, Tennessee is going to be a war today. They played twice. One team won by 4. The other team won the other one by 4, both on the other's home floor. Tennessee was tremendous yesterday. Tennessee has Nate Ament back, who did not play when Vanderbilt beat Tennessee a week ago. But Tennessee also had to exert a lot of energy to get by Auburn in the second half.
Right.
And
Chris, you muted yourself.
I think I hit a chord.
Father Carmon, bless that, and so you can speak again. There you go.
Chris, your audio's going in and out. Do you mind refreshing real quick and come right back?
Yeah, I'll do it. Thank you.
Hey, Steven, as we fill the dead time, I know we didn't talk about Twister coming out on this day, but I never want to talk about Twister because it broke up my favorite band, Van Halen.
It did not come out on this day. It did not come out on this day.
Oh, I thought Twister did come out on this day.
No, I said that was one of my favorite movies that I have to watch, like my cousin Danny.
Gotcha. Well, good. Now we don't have to talk about, and I love that movie. It's a fun movie. Even when they came out with the re-release, the remake, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I went and watched that the night it came out. I was excited about it. But still, I haven't forgot that movie's the movie that broke up the band. So,
Chris, can you hear us?
Yeah, there we go. This should be better. I can hear you.
Good.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. So, Chris, I do want to ask you, because this is a major topic right now in college basketball. Yes or no? Auburn's strength of schedule. Have they done enough to get into the NCAA tournament? Both of the Pearls say yes. I'm going to say no. They have not done enough. They should stay at home. What do you say?
I'm not going to answer your question on face value. I'm going to give you the answer I give my wife. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what the committee thinks. Would I let Auburn in? Probably not.
Right.
Could the committee let Auburn in? Again, I'm not a mind reader. I just don't know. I mean, this has been a disastrous last couple of weeks for bubble teams. I mean, I'm looking on Joe Lunardi's website this morning, and Oklahoma is the first team out.
Wow.
I don't know that Oklahoma was even in the last 8 out before the tournament. They might have been 8, but my point is not just what I said, which was kind of in jest, obviously, but also you've got to weigh everybody against everybody else, and it's not like Auburn is the only team that has face planted recently.
Chris, we're looking at bid stealers. That's what I always love about the conference tournament. You got to start watching the bid stealers.
Yeah.
With that, who in the SEC would be hurt besides Oklahoma with bid stealers? Who's that next team out that he's like, oh man, if they win, that's not good for them? Because I mean, that's the thing about the conference tournaments is that you could be in the first team of the first 4 out, and there could be 3 bid stealers, in the next 2 days. And you're like, oh, yeah, these teams are definitely not getting in now. What SEC teams need to be worried other than Oklahoma?
Well, Auburn, if Auburn is even on the right side of the bubble at this point. So that's one. And look, and as crazy as this sounds, and this is maybe grasping for straws, Auburn, I wonder if Auburn could play its way back in by somebody just being ghastly awful. Auburn lost, but it was Tennessee, which is a team that's going to be a 5 or 6 seed. If one of these teams that Auburn's competing with gets blasted by a 10 and 20 team, could that bring Auburn back in? I don't know. I doubt it, but I'm just lying out all the possibilities for you. I think the obvious answer is Texas and Missouri. I think Missouri is in anyway, but Missouri is probably, my guess is going to Dayton now. I was speaking with a good friend on that beat yesterday. That's kind of what his opinion was too. And Texas also, I'm going to guess, going to be in that same boat with Auburn, with Missouri, that it's in the tournament, but maybe getting that extra game in Dayton on Tuesday or Wednesday. Gotcha. Or is it Monday or Tuesday? I guess it's Tuesday, Wednesday, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, briefly, I want to switch sports and talk about another big-time matchup this weekend for 2 teams that are really struggling. LSU comes in having lost the series last weekend to Sacramento State, and we've talked about the inconsistencies of Vanderbilt, the Vandy boys on the diamond. Those 2 teams lock heads tonight, this weekend, for a series. Give us your thoughts on LSU and Vanderbilt there in baseball.
Yeah, both those teams have lost some teams that LSU and Vanderbilt, to some teams that LSU and Vanderbilt don't typically lose to. I think, Vanderbilt is coming in at 11-7, and frankly, if you pick the tournament right now, Vanderbilt would not be in the field, and Vanderbilt this might be the year that 19-year streak gets snapped for Vanderbilt. I do think there's a better team in there statistically. It should be more like a 14-3 team than an 11-7 team.
Right.
That won't mean anything to the committee. That does mean that I think there's more potential there for Vanderbilt to get better. Now, the problem, this team can really hit.
Yes.
But the pitching, a lot of their older guys that have thrown strikes in the past are not doing it now. They're having to rely on a lot of freshmen, including freshman Wyatt Nadeau, who's going to be the Saturday starter in the weekend series. So that's not good. The problem for Vanderbilt right now is pitching. First of all, it's got 4 left-handers on the staff. Only one of them's thrown a pitch all year. And the other 3 are all really good players. Miller Green should have been maybe their best bulk reliever out of the pen. He's not thrown a pitch all year and won't for a while. Matthew Shorey was going to be either a weekend starter or a midweek starter. He's not thrown a pitch yet. And then on top of that, they've got Aiden Stillman, who is probably a top 10 freshman in the country. He's not thrown a pitch yet. So those are probably, I'm going to say, potentially 3 of their top 5 arms or 6 arms have not thrown a pitch yet, but plus they're also lefties, which they need desperately.
Right.
On top of that, Austin Nye, who is their best pitcher on the staff, is questionable for the weekend. Did not pitch last weekend. He's not given up a run all year. He's a first-round talent for next year if he's healthy. Health is the issue right now. He got pulled from his start 2 weekends ago after 12 pitches with some biceps tightness. He's already had Tommy John surgery and missed his senior year once. So keep an eye on that. I don't know if Nye pitches this weekend, but they've got to get him back soon. I could argue that's 4 of their top 6 arms that are out right now. Now, the hitting is really good. LSU has had the same trouble that Vanderbilt's had. That's throwing strikes. That is inconsistency. And LSU's lineup has been very inconsistent lately. The Curiel and Zach York and other guys' portion of the order has not been consistent. Jake Brown has. But Vanderbilt can really hit. It's second in the country in home runs. The ball gets out quickly in right where they've hit a lot of those. So I think it could be you might look up and you see some 11 to 10 type games this weekend when it's said and done.
Based off of what you just talked about and the recent history of both teams, for me, on the outside looking in, this basically becomes a flip a coin type game for who wins, Vandy or LSU. This one is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think you're close. If I had to choose, I'd probably take LSU. I didn't really get to LSU starting pitching, and it is very talented. I know that Cason Evans has not been the Cason Evans he was a year ago, but he's also gotten some bad luck. I think Cooper Moore is there too, who transferred from Kansas, was very durable for Kansas last year, is a really good 2. And I think William Schmidt, who's their 3, may be the most talented pitcher on the staff. He could have been a top 10 or 15 pick if he'd gone pro 2 years ago.
Right.
He's been lights out at times, but he's been very inconsistent the way he was last year. So, the way Evans and he show up or don't show up is going to have a lot to do with the series. But I do think I would probably take LSU just based on health and overall talent and ceiling of that talent.
Chris, before I jump into baseball, and I always want to talk about baseball, you mentioned something earlier about Tennessee resting up players with the basketball tournament there in Nashville, the energy and this and that. This is the day of the basketball tournament that I always pay a little bit more attention to, and more so to defense. If you've got depth at the guard position and a team's already played for a day or 2 days, I always watch to see if they press the guards full court. Now, they play the entire team, but press the guards because they're hoping that their legs are a little bit weak and they want them to get weaker. But at the same time, if you plan on playing tomorrow, that's going to bite your guard that's defending whoever that is. So with that, if you got the depth, are we going to see that? Which team do you expect to see a lot of full court press on the guards today? What matchups?
Well, boy, you just outlined the exact scenario that is going to be Tennessee and Vanderbilt. I mean, you nailed it to a T because yesterday Tennessee was down 11 at one point. I think they were down 8 or 9 when they started to go to a full court man-to-man defense.
Yeah.
And that's when it started to unravel for Auburn. And Tennessee was good enough not only to not let the ball get by and yield easy shots on the other end, but to maintain that energy in the half court, where Auburn literally – I'm not kidding you. There was an 8-minute stretch at least for Auburn where the only good look Auburn got was from the foul line, and it missed the front end of a 1-and-1. It was amazing. Now, there's been some thoughts recorded about how physical Tennessee was and whether fouls should have been called at a greater frequency, but it was what it was, and it was called the way it was. And here's what I'm getting to. Vanderbilt led Tennessee, I think, 15-2 off the jump in Knoxville 6 days ago. And Tennessee got back in it. Tennessee ended up losing by 4. Tennessee got that within striking distance in the final minute because at about that same mark, and I think it was actually 20-0. But anyway, Tennessee did the same thing to Vanderbilt that it did to Auburn. And Vanderbilt was able to get some buckets on the other end and hit some foul shots, which was not a thing that Auburn was able to do. But Vanderbilt also turned it over. Tyler Tanner had not turned it over all game. He turned it over 3 times in the final 32 seconds. And that almost gave Tennessee a shot to win. So what you said is right. Like, that is the scenario that Tennessee used to give Vanderbilt problems.
Right.
But Tennessee is going to be the team that did that yesterday. And I think had to expend a lot of energy, both emotionally and physically, to come back and win that game. Do you hit a breaking point with that in this one? I mean, it's a great question because it's what Tennessee does very well, but it's also the thing that could be the depth of the Vols either today or at some point in this tournament.
Chris, my final question for you, and then I'll let Heath get to baseball. Sunday, we have the SEC Tournament Championship. Give us a couple of teams remaining that you feel like have the best shot to cut down the nets there in Nashville on Sunday.
Give me Florida and I think Alabama.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it could be Arkansas, but man, Alabama has played so well since Bediako's been out. I don't know that any team in the league. I mean, Florida's the answer to just about everything, but the way Alabama can run and shoot,
right?
They're in such great physical condition that they're really deep. They've got, I don't know, a dozen guys that can really play. Some of them may be out right now, but they've got enough of them. And I know that Florida just pounded Alabama the last time those teams played.
Right.
But when Alabama turns it on, it's a team that can play with anybody. So I think those are my best two bets, but Arkansas is awfully tough too. I mean, Acuff can carry you for a period of time.
Yes.
Chris, looking at baseball this weekend, of course, the big matchups, the top 5 matchup, Mississippi State, Arkansas.
Yep.
Bulldogs have to go on the road to Arkansas. Chris Lemonis did not have hardly any success against Arkansas. I believe he won one series as head coach at his time at Mississippi State. So with that, give me three SEC matchups that you're really looking forward to here on opening weekend of conference play that's not Mississippi State, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, can I give you 7 others?
You can give me all of them.
That's kind of a joke because there are 8 series, and of course you said give me others, so that was my answer. I do, all kidding aside, I do see something interesting in all of them. I think the one in my backyard, Vanderbilt and LSU, is interesting for the reasons we outlined. I think Georgia and Tennessee is going to be interesting. I know Tennessee has struggled in losing some close games, but they can really pitch. I don't know whether that staff goes a dozen deep, but I think it goes 7 or 8 deep, and the frontline arms can go 6 or 7 innings, which is going to be key this weekend for a lot of teams. I think that one's interesting. I think Oklahoma and A&M is very interesting for a bunch of reasons. Among them, the fact that Oklahoma can really run and steal bases, and A&M's been pretty good at throwing them out, been great on the mound. I think Kentucky and Alabama is interesting. In some ways, they're almost the same team. And there was one other one. Not more than – there's one other one that I had in mind that's super interesting. Oh, it was Ole Miss at Texas.
Yeah.
Texas is the best team in the league right now, but the pitching started to come back to earth a little bit last week, and Ole Miss is really good. Ole Miss can really pitch out of the first 2 spots. Now, I will qualify that a little bit by saying Hunter Elliott has allowed more base runners than I would like my Friday night ace to allow. But Elliott is also a guy that will nibble the corners, and I think he's willing to walk a guy in a spot and see if you'll nibble off and chase off the outer edge of the plate. And if you don't, he'll bear down on the next guy, or he'll pick the guy off first and get rid of him that way. He's an interesting pitcher, but I think he and Cade Townsend give Ole Miss a chance at Texas. Do I think Ole Miss will win it? No. Do I think there's a roadmap to it with the way Ole Miss is pitched? I do, and I think that one is – I could say that might be the most interesting series behind Arkansas and State.
Yes.
I'll throw this out about Ole Miss, and we'll know at the end of the season. But Ole Miss had so much talent on that team last year. They lost in their regional, got put out by Murray State, and that was kind of a shocker. But we've seen this in college baseball. We've seen this so many times. The next year, you lose a lot of your key pieces from the year before, but you actually play better, perform better, and go further in the tournament.
Yeah.
I think we might see that out of Ole Miss this year. They lost some huge key pieces last year, and I just something's telling me something special about this Ole Miss team. Now they don't have it all together just yet, but you don't want it all together the first weekend of SEC play.
Right.
You want to have it all together here late in the season, and especially after Hoover. So with that, I'm really looking forward to this Ole Miss team. What's one series that you're probably not going to pay too much attention to? Just look at the box score. What's the one that's going to bore you?
Well, to answer the part of your last statement, and not that you needed an answer, but to hit something there, I think the difference between Ole Miss this year and last year, I think the pitching is much better this year than it was last year. So I think this is a better Ole Miss team, at least right now. The easy answer is Auburn at Missouri.
Yeah.
Because Auburn is, I think, elite.
Yes.
But Missouri hasn't beaten anybody. Its schedule's been awful. But just because that hasn't beaten anybody, that doesn't mean Missouri can't beat good teams. Now, am I skeptical? Absolutely. But this is kind of find out how Missouri does against good competition. And it is in Missouri's yard. And I don't know how cold it'll be in Columbia this weekend. My guess is it won't be the warmest park in the league. So I think that one's, if I had to say one, that would be the one. But even there, I can find a path to where we could look up at the end of the weekend and say, hey, that was more interesting than we knew because Missouri is scoring a ton of runs.
And with that, what pitching matchup, whether it be two Friday night starters going at it or two Sunday starters or anything in between, what's the one pitching duel that you're looking at head-to-head?
Hang on real quick. Tonight's low in Columbia, Missouri is going to be 38 degrees. Tomorrow
I'll hit it off the end of the bat.
Tomorrow is going to be 39, and then on Sunday the high is 57.
Yeah, well, 38 and 39 are never fun, but they hit differently when you've been in 20 degrees than they do when you've been in 70 degrees, which I guess is what Auburn's been in. And when you've been in that, 38 feels like 18. So we'll see how Auburn handles that. I suspect they'll figure it out, but that is interesting. Gosh, the one pitching matchup. Man, you guys you're giving me questions and then giving me some unfair limitations here.
I will prepare you more next time. I promise.
No. I'm kidding. My point being, there's like a lot of good pitching matchups. I think the league this year is unusually good in pitching. I mean, I could take just about any one of the Arkansas Mississippi State matchups. Again, I think Tennessee's pitching against Georgia's is going to be interesting. I think Connor Fennell and LSU's Friday night starter, whose name has suddenly escaped me, Kason Evans, will be great tonight. I want to see how does Fennell handle, a really good lineup with the fastball that tops out 91 or 92. But nobody sees a guy like that. I mean, I think this league has got an unusual number of pitchers who can go deep into games. L.J. Mercurius at Oklahoma has been outstanding. He's thrown about as well as anybody. He'll get Shane Sadeo, who one reason A&M is a lot better because Sadeo was one of their key arms 2 years ago in the College World Series before he got hurt. I think he may have gotten hurt in a regional, actually. But point is, he was one of their key arms then, and he's come back and he's pitched pretty well. Mercurius, I think, has got the lowest ERA in the league, in a league that's got a lot of great ERAs. So, I mean, I was kidding. There's so many good pitching matchups this weekend that trying to circle one is like trying to pick Miss America.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. That's it. That's actually an excellent example. Hey, I know there's a lot of question marks with LSU and Vanderbilt. We touched on that. Georgia is still a team for me that I just can't get a pulse on. I don't know if this pitch is coming around or if they just don't have it yet. I think it's more of it just hasn't come around, and it might be next year before we see it. I don't know. But with that, what team has the question mark, or a team that you just don't have a beat or a vibe on yet?
Let's hit Georgia for a minute. I think I do have a vibe on Georgia. They've hit 61 home runs, which I think is 20 more than Vanderbilt, which is the second best home run team hitting in the country right now. Daniel Jackson alone has got 14. Brennan Hudson's got 10. So we know Georgia can really, really hit for power, and a lot of those guys can. Georgia's pitching has really come around, actually. I think it's a much better staff than it was a year ago. They're getting good top-end pitching out of the two Stanford guys, Matt Scott and Joey Volko, or I think Volko is how you pronounce his name, who's their number one guy who's got 21 innings with a 3 ERA. Dylan Veek from Michigan's been good. Kei Naoki from USC has been good at times. And Kenny Ishikawa may be their best pitcher. He hasn't pitched in a few weeks because of a broken foot. You can see him. Now, having said that, I don't know what that looks like against good teams. I don't know what that looks like outside of the state of Georgia, because Georgia really has not has played one game outside of its park, and that was at Kennesaw State. And it's going to start this one in Athens too. So Georgia's performance so far, you can see an identity. What is that identity against SEC teams? We're about to find out.
I guess Steven disappeared on us. I don't know.
I think he did.
No. So, excuse me, Chris. So, Chris, what time will you get to the arena tonight? And what time do you think you might be getting back home?
Well, I will be heading to Florida and Kentucky. I imagine I'll walk in the building around 11:15 or 11:30.
Yeah.
I will probably leave after the Vandy, Tennessee game, stay to write that one up, and then head down the road to watch Vanderbilt and LSU. Then I think we'll be going live on our SEC baseball reaction show around 10.
Ooh.
So it'll be a late night for me.
Gotcha. Well, Chris, look, man, we will let you go and try to beat the traffic going into Nashville.
You can't beat the traffic in Nashville.
No.
Get to the arena before all of the madness and fans get there. For the Kentucky fans, because they're going to blue it out for the big matchup there with Florida. Enjoy it for all of us, and we will definitely catch up with you next week to talk NCAA tournament talk, and then talk about more of the SEC baseball conference weekends.
And Chris, I just randomly thought of this, and we're taking it out of the SEC. You're there in Nashville. There's just been this rumor that Major League Baseball is going to make a move. The White Sox could be leaving, looking for a new home. Nashville's being rumored. And also, I just heard about the announcement that the Titans are getting the taxpayers to pay a lot for the stadium, the new stadium for the Titans. Are they kind of clearing that old site to maybe build a baseball stadium or renovate that into a baseball stadium?
That's a good question. I've not heard it tied to that. In fact, it's funny. I was having this conversation about Major League Baseball with another media guy who's a little bit tapped into that. By the way, the scoop he had for me, he thinks that Salt Lake is going to get the next team. Dale Murphy is managing that effort for Salt Lake, my all-time favorite athlete. But I think we'll also be on that list. The thought the guy I was speaking to is it may be 2030 or 31 before we get that. But I think Nashville has been on that list for a while of teams. And, you've heard people say Nashville will be the next guy to get a team. So we'll see. I hope it happens. That is my favorite sport. And I don't know the exact answer to your question, but I mean, it would make a ton of sense, right? To have that right there. It's, the location's great. Traffic would also be a bit of a nightmare, but hey, we're getting used to that already.
Friends, enjoy day 3 of the SEC basketball tournament, and hopefully Vanderbilt can make it to Sunday and cut down the nets for you to cover it on Vandy 247.
Well, I'll be covering it either way, no matter who's there. So looking forward to seeing it. But thank you guys for having me as always. God bless you and have a great weekend.
Hey, Chris, did you ever see the picture of Dale Murphy and Steve Bedrock Bedrosian with their grandsons? Their grandsons played on the same T-ball team.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and so I was like, what kind of pressure is that for the T-ball coach?
Yeah.
You got guys that are considered to be in the Hall of Fame, and some people say they should be. You got to coach them in T-ball of all things. Like, that's not fair.
Right.
Although I guess if there's a grandparent you can have, if you want to start picking from the pool of ex-superstars with the most tolerable grandparents and least demanding, I would think Dale Murphy would rank one on that list.
Yeah. I'll send you that picture. I'll text it to you.
I would love that.
So you can look at it in traffic.
Yeah.
or not.
Right.
Maybe when we get there. See you guys.
Man. All right. All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up all of the basketball talk. Now we are going to transition into the only thing that makes sense to you during this time of the year, baseball, my friend. But I've got to
Every
ask
time of
you,
year, my life makes sense, Stephen.
but I've
SEC baseball.
I've got to ask you before we get going on baseball, when someone says to you college baseball, what do you immediately think of?
Oh, truthfully, when people mention college baseball, man, it really whatever the hot topic is at the time, at the very moment, is the first thing that comes to mind. But if someone asked me to kind of paint a picture of college baseball, there was a restaurant in Omaha. It's closed now. It closed a couple of years ago, named Piccolo Pete's.
Hmm.
And Warren Buffett, that was one of his favorite restaurants. Matter of fact, it was Warren Buffett's favorite restaurant. He lives there in Omaha. And whenever Warren Buffett had to travel with work or go overseas, he would call up Piccolo Pete's to make his meals. And so I did not know this. I went to Piccolo Pete's during one of my visits to Omaha, and it's just a fun place. It was originally opened up as like a nightclub and a bar back in the
Right.
40s or 50s, and then they made it into a restaurant. The bar was not doing great, and the family decided, and the family was getting older. They started having kids, and they said, I don't know if we want to be in the bar business. Let's make this a restaurant.
Right.
But there is a disco ball of the size of like a Ford F-350 pickup still in the restaurant. But it's an Italian restaurant. But here's the great thing, Stephen. They give you complimentary salad. They give you complimentary spaghetti. They
Right.
give you the rolls. And the food was outstanding. And they had a huge menu.
Mhm.
And it was so great. But I remember right before it closed, I went up there. I was like, oh, this will be the last time we go to Piccolo Pete's. And right before we walked in, I saw actually some Mississippi State fans walk out, and they're like, don't go in. The food's not good. They're having an off night. I don't know what it is, but it's not good. Don't. So have you eaten here before? I was like, yeah, several times. Every time I go to the World Series, I come up here and eat. And yeah, so when people talk about college baseball, I think of the old stadium, Rosenblatt Stadium. I think of Piccolo Pete's, and I just think of how great that atmosphere is in Omaha. But what do you think about, Stephen?
Do not ask me why, but whenever someone mentions college baseball to me, I immediately think, and this pops into my head.
John Fogerty. You have my 9-year-old daughter dancing now.
I love that song, dude. That song always gets me hyped for college baseball. Don't know why, but it does. I love that song.
I've always enjoyed that song. I still think about Bull Durham when that song comes on. Oh, it's coughing now. I'm yawning. I know I was up late last night. I know I was traveling all day yesterday, but good Lord.
Right.
But no, man, college baseball is so great.
Yes.
It's an intimate setting. Everyone knows people's first and last names
Right.
in the stands. Everyone's pulling. You're kind of like, oh, who's this guy up to bat? You don't really no, when someone gets up, like, hey, man, Robert's stepping in. You're like,
Mhm.
you're glued in, like, hey, Robert's due, man. He had a great week last week, but he hasn't done much this week.
Right.
People are very glued in to
Yes.
college baseball, especially SEC baseball. And they know everyone by first name. And that's the great thing about students. You got classes with these people. You live next door to them. Your apartments are next to each other, whatever it might be. So I mean, you're glued in. It's a little bit more personable, and you know what's going on. You know what happened. All the bets this game, what happened the night before, what happened last week, what's been going on this season with them. So that's the great thing about college baseball, especially in the
Oh, yeah.
SEC, is that it's so personable, and everybody knows, man. And you can't wait, and you want to see them succeed. It's
Yes.
fun.
Now, Heath, I do want to be honest with everybody here. Aaron Fitt could not join us this morning because he is traveling for his own assignments there with D1 Baseball. So we conducted this interview that we are about to play for you guys yesterday morning, but none of the information is outdated. So we are about to play for you to sign off on the show our 30-minute interview with Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball, talking about the first month of the season, Heath, and then talking about this upcoming weekend and some of the amazing matchups, not only in the SEC, but around the country as well.
And I apologize for my audio in this interview because I am driving down I-69, get off on Highway 61. I go past the casinos there in Tunica.
Yeah.
And right before I get to Cleveland, I turn on Highway 49. I go across the Mississippi River and into Arkansas, and my signal drops almost immediately there at the very, very end of this interview. So,
yes,
I am literally – don't tell me, Stephen. I'm going probably 80 miles an hour during my interview, and
that's awesome.
Down the road and trying to make some things happen. So, but this is a excellent interview that you're about to hear with Aaron Fitt from D1 Baseball. Aaron is the go-to insider, and I always love it when he joins us on the show. And can't wait for everyone to hear this wonderful interview as we start, Stephen.
Yes.
The opening of SEC baseball.
Yeah.
It is here. League play is here. Cannot wait.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is our awaited interview with Aaron Fitt, talking exclusively about SEC and college baseball. If you're not a college baseball fan, you will not enjoy this next little part of the show, okay?
And you're a communist.
Here we go, guys. Now, as we've been talking with Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, and we just finished up with that, SEC basketball is going on in Nashville, but there is another sport that is really heating up in the college ranks, and that is college baseball. And the SEC conference play begins tonight with a ton of amazing matchups. And to break down all of the college baseball world and the SEC as well, here is D1Baseballs.com's own Aaron Fitt. Aaron, how are things with you as we sit here awaiting first pitch of SEC conference baseball play?
Yeah, Stephen, it almost feels like this is when it gets real. You know, the first month of the season is fun. We get all these, the cool tournaments in the early part of the year, where you get, these kind of looks at a bunch of teams that are testing themselves against teams that they don't usually see, and that's cool. But like this is when it gets real. It's conference time. We got a good slate of games for the first week, and I'm fired up for it.
Aaron, let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, and that, of course, is the defending national champions, LSU. They have lost 5 of their last 6 games. They have not looked good, and last weekend they lost to Sacramento State at home. What do you think is the biggest issue right now for the defending national champions, the LSU Tigers?
It's a weird one. I just think they're too good to struggle this much for too long. I really believe that. That's the first thing I'll say, is that I know people are freaking out because they had a bad week. Basically, it was a bad week, right? I mean, it was 2 midweek losses and then a home series loss to Sac State. It's 4 losses in 5 games.
Right.
But I mean, it's, again, it's baseball, right? Like that's people. I think people are used to viewing things through a football lens, and they say, "Oh my God, you lose a bad non-conference game in September in football, you're done." Right. But I mean, it's not like that in baseball. You're going to have ups and downs. And there's some things they need to get sorted out. Their offense has been, I think, a disappointment lately. It's just but there are pieces here. I mean, but like bats run hot and cold. And right now they're cold. I mean, they got 3 hit, I think, on Saturday by Sac State, something like that. and not much offense on Sunday either. I mean, it feels like right now they're just fighting it a little bit. They're just stressing. But I mean, again, you got some proven championship guys here with Monster Milam and Jake Brown, and of course Derek Curiel, one of the best hitters in the country. Those guys are pieces that they're going to make their run. They're too good. They're so talented. And I mean, again, I love the guys that they brought in around them. Zach Yorks and the Seth Dardars and the Braden Simpsons. I mean, like, there's plenty of talent in the lineup, and maybe they're still trying to figure out the right combinations. They've got the depth. I think Jay can dig a little bit on the bench and pull some levers and get them going. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I still think they're going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country.
Aaron, let's talk about another team that is struggling right now, and that, of course, is their opponent this weekend, Tim Corbin and the Vanderbilt Commodores. What are you seeing as a real struggle with this Vanderbilt baseball team?
Yeah, it's another one where this team actually the criticism for them in recent years has been, they don't hit enough home runs, and now they're actually hitting more home runs. It almost feels like they swung too far in the opposite direction. I mean, all of a sudden you're swinging for the fences and you got some juice, but like maybe the offense piece has taken a step back. I don't know. I mean, I say that. I mean, they got a whole bunch of guys in their lineup with over 1,000 OPS. I mean, it feels like maybe the quality of their at bats has decreased here and there. But I mean, you look at the stats and you're like, I don't know, man. The offense still looks like it's in pretty good shape. So this one is a little bit baffling to me. I mean, again, it's really one bad week. It was Irvine, Arizona, Oregon, and Central Arkansas. They lost 4 straight games, and other than that, they've been okay. I mean, they weren't great the first weekend. They had a couple of losses there. So they've lost 2 of their first 4 weekends. But I mean, they also have played some pretty good competition. I don't know. I don't think they're an elite team, as we welcome in Heath here. I don't think they're an elite team, but I do think they're probably better than their record indicates right now.
Heath, you have joined us.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right. So Heath, go ahead, man.
I'd like to give credit to my very young and beautiful bride who figured out my phone. She's hitting me in the arm as I'm driving down Highway 61 in the Mississippi Delta. But there you go. So yeah, Aaron, hey, thank you, brother, for joining us. And good to be here with you. Ask her if she can figure out how to get my Twitter messages back on my computer, because I can't get into them. It's driving me crazy. My wife can do anything. I don't need Google. She knows everything as it is. My wife can do anything. So there you go. I will send her her contact information to you. My question, the one thing that's been on my mind all week, and I've been so impressed with Southern Miss.
Yes.
Southern Miss, they're at the top streak of the schedule in the country. They had a blowout win against Alabama. They beat Mississippi State. They walked off Ole Miss this past week. I had some doubts about Southern Miss coming into the season. They have pretty much erased my doubts, and it's because of that pitching. I am so impressed with the Southern Miss pitching.
Yeah.
Please elaborate of what you've seen over the season.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think their pitching is outstanding. I was down there the first weekend when they played UC Santa Barbara, who I think is really good also. And first of all, the toughness and the resilience Southern Miss showed in that series was impressive, because they lost the first game. They kind of got shut down the first game, and they were getting shut down, it seemed like, in the second game. Then they just kind of found it, and they fought hard. And that's just kind of who they are. That's in their identity. But I do think the thing that stands out most, I mean, obviously their starting pitching is strong. You've got Colby Allen, who's a proven guy at the top. And, I really like the lefty Graydon Harris as well. But I mean, their bullpen is special. That's what really excites me. I mean, you've got different looks. You've got, your kind of slider specialist in Camden Sundstrom, who's just been absurd. I mean, it's 26 strikeouts and 1 walk, in 26 innings. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But so he's been awesome. But I mean, then you've got your power guy at the back with Camden Clark, who's yet to give up a run this year. You've got your classic like pitchability lefty with tons of funk and experience, who can work in any role you want with Cross Sibley. You've got Josh Ock, your kind of lower slot fastball ride guy. You got your J.W. Armistead, your sidewinder, big bodied, it's a tough look, but it's also up to 93 with power sink. Like, they just got a lot of different things that they can do to match up with you. And I'm always a fan of teams that have lights out bullpens, and that to me is Southern Miss this year. That's their superpower. And yeah, there's veterans in the lineup, like they can hit. Their defense is sound. They do everything pretty well, but I think the thing they do best is the bullpen.
Heath?
Yeah, I'm here. I was going to follow up with that. I played under Fred Sharon. Fred was a walk-on on that 75 and 76 Arizona team. One of the best teams that won it one year. Won it all. But he taught me at a very young age in high school. Great pitching beats great hitting. Good pitching to good hitting. It doesn't matter if you've got the arms, you can always compete. Are there any teams in the SEC that are really standing out in that good pitching category and that great pitching category?
Well, certainly I think there's a lot of good arms as usual. That's the thing that I think always separates the SEC from everybody else, is the quality of the arms. Because there are some years where I think, the ACC's got just as good or better bats, but they don't usually ever have the kind of arms that the SEC has. And you look around the league this year, I think Texas's arms are ridiculous. I think Mississippi State, I think Mississippi State's got 3 first-rounders in their rotation for next year. They're all sophomores, but those 3 guys, you're looking at Duke Stone as your Sunday guy. He's a monster. It's just 6'6" right-hander with a lead extension, and it's mid-90s and feel for 4 pitches. And of course you got Tomas Valinkis, who's an elite lefty. Like that to me is a no-brainer first rounder. And and Ryan McPherson on Fridays, like real stuff. But so that to me, that caught my eye. I saw them at Globe Life, and that really caught my eye, was just how good those 3 sophomores are. And certainly there's, again, lots of firepower in the bullpen. So I think their pitching staff is for real. Obviously, we said, Texas has tons of guys, Ruger Riojas and Dylan Volantis being the kind of the most prominent of them. I think Georgia, I'm still trying to figure it out. They're so far so good. They haven't really played anybody, but it seems like the pieces that they brought in have done what they were expected to do. And I still think Florida's pitching staff, it's crazy arm talent, as it often is at Florida. But now you've got some of those guys, the Liam Petersons and the Luke McNeelys. They've been around a few years. They're not just young power arms. It seems like they're kind of putting it together. So that's another staff that I'm kind of betting on here. Is right now, I guess you could put them in the good category with a chance to be great.
So, Aaron, briefly, we have seen it more this season to start the season of smaller teams pushing and actually beating some of the power teams, like Arkansas State got Arkansas. You had Wright State shut out Tennessee. We've talked about LSU struggles. Talk about the parity now in college baseball because of the transfer portal and the NIL situation.
Yeah, and also Kent State, won a series at Tennessee.
Yes.
So there's been a lot of examples. Certainly Sac State, being another one at LSU. But some of those are more surprising than others. High Point, going to Gainesville.
Right.
High Point's got a good program. So does Sac State, and so does Kent State. Those are all good mid-major programs. They were. I would say High Point and Sac State weren't off to great starts this year. Just, High Point was just okay. Sac State was not off to a good start. So that's why those were particularly surprising results. But they are very well coached programs. And to your larger point, I think part of it is the roster limit now.
Yes.
It's what, 33, 34 guys instead of 40. And so I just think it makes it a little harder for the bigger programs to stockpile talent. And those, kind of those bottom 7 guys who used to be on your roster, they're still, those bottom 7 guys on those SEC rosters are still very talented players who just didn't necessarily get an opportunity to see the field. And so now those guys are going elsewhere. They're going to Kent State or High Point or wherever, and having a chance to thrive. And so, to me, I think that is going to lead to some more parity, especially in these midweek games, because your depth advantage is negated when you don't have a 40-man, loaded roster.
Yes.
And we know those mid-major programs are always going to get up for those midweek games. It's a real opportunity for them to make their statements. So I think that will continue to be a minefield for SEC programs to negotiate moving forward.
Yes. Heath?
Aaron, my question is, we keep the strong in the SEC. SEC teams haven't got off to a good start. Timmy Corbin there at Vanderbilt. I'm a huge fan of
Coach Corbin and what he's done over the years. I'm not necessarily ready to hit the panic button, but I do got my eye on it. It just seems like this team has a problem throwing strikes, and once they figure that out, they're going to be okay. SEC play starts here shortly, but we've also seen teams at all levels. Sometimes you just have problems the entire season. With that being said, who are some teams that should be concerned in the SEC other than Vanderbilt as we've gotten off to this almost month into the season so far?
Well, I think it's fair to be concerned about South Carolina.
Yeah.
I think they're probably in for a long year. Missouri is the one that I'm surprised by. Well, again, hadn't really played anybody, but they are 15-2. I mean, for a team that was historically bad in the SEC last year, really intrigued to see what they've got going on. But I mean, everybody else, I don't know, it's been off to a pretty good start. I mean, Tennessee, their offense hadn't gotten going yet. And that's one we talked about LSU before is an offense that I still have a lot of faith in that I think LSU is going to bounce back and find it. I don't think this is going to be a vintage Tennessee offense, not like what we're used to seeing the last several years, but I do think there's certainly more talent there that will perform better as the season goes on. I mean, Levi Clark's not going to hit under 200 all year. He's going to heat up. I mean, that's a good hitter, and Chris Newstrom and some of these guys in their lineup, that Tyler Myatt, I mean, they're much more talented than their numbers suggest, and so like there is more upside in this Tennessee lineup than we've seen so far. I just think we have to recalibrate our expectations a little bit because we're used to seeing Tennessee as like one of the top 5 teams in the country, and I just don't think they're going to be that this year. But I still think their pitching is pretty formidable, especially as they continue to grow some of those young arms, and they just need their lineup to kind of find its footing. But I would say everybody else looking around the league, I think, has been pretty good. I mean, there's like a lot of 15-3s here and 15-2s. Like A&M's been off to a good start, 15-1. Like uneven levels of competition. Not everybody has been tested as much, but some of these teams have been tested pretty well and have passed those tests. So pretty encouraging, I would say, first month of the season for the SEC.
So, Aaron, the matchups this weekend in the SEC, give us a couple that you are most intrigued to see.
Yeah. Mississippi State, Arkansas is the premier matchup. We have the Mississippi State number 3, Arkansas number 5. Arkansas's had a couple more hiccups so far, but Mississippi State, it's a fun team, and I haven't seen Arkansas yet, but we've had several guys who have seen them, of course, and they went off and tested themselves at Globe Life the first weekend and passed that test with a couple of wins and swept the kind of a pesky Xavier team, and then there were a couple of little speed bumps after that, a couple of losses to Stetson in the past week, which I think their bats just kind of went cold a little bit. So again, one of those things, like I think offense just runs hot and cold. That's just generally how it is. And Stetson can pitch a little bit, but how will they fare against that Mississippi State elite pitching staff that we talked about? To me, that's something I'm really keyed in on. Want to see what kind of approach we're going to get out of that Arkansas offense, top to bottom, because it feels like there is some patience there and there's some free swinging there as well. And so I think they're maybe still trying to figure out how all those pieces fit. But I like their personnel and certainly on the mound. I mean, Colin Fisher's been awesome for them. Good to see him healthy and dealing. And, Gabe Gackle seems like he's taken well to that starting role, which he started last year in that role. And then they had to move him back to the bullpen, and now he's starting again. I think with Fisher, Gackle, and Hunter Dietz healthy, it's another pitching staff we didn't talked about yet, but like that's another really elite trio if those guys continue to grow into those roles. And so far, so good.
And what else? What are some other matchups that intrigue you besides Mississippi State, Arkansas?
Yeah, Tennessee, Georgia's fun. First real test of the year for the Bulldogs. We'll kind of see what they're made of. They're at home. You would expect them to take care of business, but I mean, it's the first real opponent that they faced. So that one's got my attention. I think A&M, Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma was kind of an early season darling. I think it was Globe Life. They beat a bunch of teams and they're in the top 10 right now, which I don't know if I'm quite buying Oklahoma as a top 10 team, but they've kind of just snuck their way up the rankings. And now you got a great test with A&M, who I like their club. I think they're very solid. Again, a team that has some swing and miss, but also has some real power in the lineup, with Grahovic and Sorrell and leading the way there, those kind of star players for them. But, and just again, a usual assortment of quality power arms that they have there, led by a healthy Shane Sadeo. So let's see what they can do on the road in Norman. I think that's another fun one. So, and of course, we talked about LSU and Vanderbilt, two teams that need to kind of get it going a little bit. And that series feels like it's fairly important considering how early in the year it is.
Yes.
Aaron, looking at the season so far, what team has kind of quieted in the SEC? What team has kind of quieted all the noise and you don't have any doubts? They're a solid team. They're going to be rolling this year. They've proven themselves to be a good team. What are some of the teams in the SEC that you had questions coming into the season, but not anymore?
You know, I was really high on Kentucky. Saw them in the fall, really liked their club. And then they lost, their shortstop, Tyler Bell, their All-American shortstop, went down to injury, and I was worried about him. And they've just kept on chugging.
Right.
I mean, they've just that team's really impressed me. I think that they've shown that they've got more depth than we anticipated. Luke Lawrence just slides over to short and has done a really good job. And you throw Ethan Hindle at second to replace Lawrence, and we'll just keep rolling, until Bell comes back. But I mean, they were able to kind of weather that storm. And I like the variety of their lineup. I mean, years past, they've been kind of just a speed team, really. And I still think they're more of a speed and bat control team than a power team, but there is a little bit of thump in there, and I think you'll see more. I think like a Jace Tarnish has got real juice, and Scott Campbell can get into one now, and then Ryan Schwartz is still a breakout power bat that I got my eye on. Only has one home run so far, but like he's a big, strong guy. So there's several guys like that I think will get those power numbers going. But so far they've been able to keep on winning, even without hitting for a ton of power. And their pitching is I think pretty formidable. I mean, Ben Cleaver and Sam Harris were two SEC, or Nate Harris rather, were two quality SEC starters last year that are back for him. And you throw Jackson Jelkin, who can throw 100 with turbo sink and wipe out slider, throw him into the mix, and all of a sudden it's like we got a shutdown guy to go with these two kind of experienced SEC pitchability warriors. So a team that maybe the bullpen was one thing we were questioning, and so far so good in that front as well. I mean, their bullpen has been stout. So they got a good test this weekend where they have Alabama, right?
Yes.
That should be another fun series that, Alabama's, again, kind of quietly been pretty good. I mean, they're 15-3. I mean, a couple of hiccups, but I mean, like, good, solid start for that team, a team that was just outside our preseason top 25, a team that we all liked and thought could very well be in the rankings, and maybe this is the week. If they win this series, they'll probably sneak in there. So nice litmus test, I think, for both of those teams.
So, Aaron, my final question for you. We talked about Southern Miss as a really hot team out of the Sun Belt. Who is another couple of teams that we need to look out for through the remainder of the season that could sneak into or potentially host a regional?
Well, as much as I was tempted to write off Coastal Carolina because they lost really maybe their four best pitchers to injury. I mean, their ace Cameron Flukie, their two All-America relievers, hadn't pitched yet, and the number 2 starter Hayden Johnson. I was like, these guys are in trouble, but they just keep on grinding their way along, and they won, I thought, a big series against East Carolina this past weekend. An ECU team that I was pretty high on that has been a little bit of a disappointment so far. They're a roughly 500 club. Still think that team could make a run, but maybe kind of missed their shot to make enough hay to, be in the hosting picture at this point. Like, you got to do a little bit better in non-conference if you're in the American. But so maybe Coastal is still hanging around. That's one that I'm not prepared to walk away from. I think there's some Big West teams. UC Santa Barbara, like I mentioned, just saw them early. Really like their pitching, and I think their young lineup has come together okay. Maybe like a UC Irvine type team, if you're looking out west, is somebody that could make a run at that. But Santa Barbara is probably the one that I'm most intrigued by out west. And, some of the usual suspects like Dallas Baptist has kind of been a little bit of a disappointment, but I mean, they've got some talent. Maybe they can make a run. Louisiana, that's another team that I saw them early, and the young talent caught my eye, the freshmen, and I was like, if these freshmen can grow up quickly, this team could be a handful. You got a freshman behind the plate, a freshman at shortstop, another one who's playing center field. I saw a couple in the bullpen, like real talent. But I mean, you never know what you're going to get with freshmen. After they lost that first series to Missouri State, they really have not lost since. They've been cruising, and seems like they've got enough pitching too, and they can put pressure on you different ways. They maybe could be right there battling with Coastal for number 2 of the Sun Belt behind Southern Miss, and a team that suddenly has real momentum. And if they can sustain this, if those freshmen can sustain this level of play in particular, I think that team could be a real handful.
Yes.
And my 2 questions for you are, what are some teams in the SEC that you still have question marks on? And my second question, I know everyone asks you who you think is going to be in Omaha. I'm not going to do that. My question will be, what teams in the SEC do you think will be hosting a regional?
Well, I'm going to answer the second part first because I still believe in Vanderbilt. I'm sorry, in LSU, excuse me. More questions about Vanderbilt. That's one that, Keith, you mentioned the strike throwing piece, and it's kind of, we'll see on that. They do have power arms, but I'm a little less bullish on their pitching than I often am. So Vanderbilt's a team I have question marks on, but LSU I still believe in. I'm not worried about it. I know they've had a lousy week. I'm not worried about LSU. Talent is too much. Mississippi State, Arkansas, Texas, those are all kind of, I think, easy hosts at this point. And then it gets interesting. So far, you have to like what you've seen out of Auburn. We've got them number 6 in our rankings. Anything can happen in conference play, but Auburn and Georgia, they feel like they're kind of on track. They're so far so good, but they haven't been tested as much. So, but right there, that gets you to 6 hosts, and you probably will get 7, I would guess. The league is that good. Maybe it's Oklahoma, A&M, Tennessee, one of these teams, Florida, one of these teams will emerge. Could be Ole Miss, could be Kentucky. It's just a big old pack of teams battling for probably 7 host spots. And I would feel pretty good betting on LSU, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Texas, and then I think we'll see. It's just going to be a free for all after that. I don't think there's a ton of separation between, number 6 ranked Auburn and number 23 ranked Florida. And even Alabama, or Ole Miss, who are just outside the rankings. When it's all said and done, you could tell me that Bama and Ole Miss are better than Auburn. I'll be like, okay, yeah, I see that. That could very well happen. And one of those teams is number 6, and the other 2 aren't ranked. But that's just how deep the SEC is. And I think we'll probably get a better feel for how this thing shakes out quickly as conference play gets moving.
Yes. So, Aaron, which game are you attending this weekend?
So I've got ACC stuff here local. I've got a big one. Florida State's at Wake Forest. And I'll probably catch a little bit of Boston College, NC State, because BC just won a big series at Miami, so they're interesting. Next week, I've got a good SEC road trip. I got Kentucky at Ole Miss for a couple games, probably Florida at Bama, and then Auburn at Texas, or Texas at Auburn, rather. I'm going to make a run that way. So that'll be a fun trip to get a look at probably 6 different SEC teams.
So, Aaron, as always, thank you for taking time to join us. Heath, anything else you want to say?
Well, this is the first time I've ever done it. You're actually crossing the Mississippi River as we speak. A segment in one state to another. So thank you for being my portal going my state traveling. So, Aaron, thank you as always. It's always a pleasure to have you, and really, really looking forward. Hey, this will be the most random question you'll get all day. I'm heading to Arkansas. What is Arkansas Pine Bluff going to do in baseball this year? I guess not much.
I'll tell you what, their coach, Logan Stout, is one of the most interesting people in all of baseball. A self-made billionaire, I believe, who decided he's just going to go coach his college baseball team. He's got history as a very successful travel ball coach. But I ran into him at the coaches convention. They've got a big arm that they're very excited about. I don't know that you're going to see him today, but more talented team than Pine Bluff used to be, for sure. They've worked hard down there, considering the facilities and the disadvantages they've got. But I should tell you, Heath, as you drive over to the Mississippi, you should pull over and do what Roy Williams would do and just spit off the side of the bridge for good luck. I think that's the move, isn't it?
I'll have to remember that on the way back.
Okay. There you go.
So, Aaron, as always, man, thank you. Enjoy covering Florida State And the other game that you were talking about there, I think it was Florida State and Wake Forest.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Enjoy covering that one, and we would love to catch up with you later on this season to continue our discussion of SEC and college baseball, okay?
Thanks, Stephen. Good
All
to be
right.
with you.
Thank you. And let me know when you come down for the Florida series, man, because that's going to be a blast next weekend.
Yeah, that'll be a good one for sure.
Okay. See you, man.
See ya.
All right, so guys, that is going to wrap up our interview there with Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball. Really do want to thank him for joining us, and that's also all the time that we have on this edition of the Stingray Show. When we return on the Monday edition, we are going to be talking about March Madness and the selection committee, and did they get it right of the 68 teams in the field there as we await the NCAA tournament, as we're going to be joined by Mark Godfrey or Tim Brando. One of those two gentlemen will join us on the Monday edition of the Stingray Show. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the SEC baseball tournament. I'm sorry, the SEC basketball tournament there in Nashville, and enjoy the first weekend of SEC conference play in baseball, and we will catch you on the Monday edition of the Stingray Show. And he's had to leave early because he is traveling over the Mississippi River going to Arkansas, so I will say it for him. Sayonara. We will see you on Monday. Sayonara. Sorry, Nora. Hopefully I said that correctly. Who cares? It doesn't matter. See y'all Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do you a brisket blend. We'll do you a chuck blend. We'll do you a sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi. For all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs.